types and categories regulatory knowledge for effective compliance management globally. Easy-to-use intelligent, real-time, and color-coded dashboard and trend charts with drill-down capabilities. Timely auto-updates with notifications and comprehensive reporting and alert system. Automated and on-demand analytics and reporting capabilities available to flag non-compliance types and categories. Regulatory knowledge for effective used for internal and external audit, gap assessment, and due diligence analysis. It supports in identifying risks and allows for a proper mitigation system to be set in place to avoid non-compliance. Mobile apps. Comfy is available on iOS and Android-based mobile apps to manage your regulatory compliance while you're on the go. Dedicated data server with AWS that acts as a repository for historic organizational data that serves as comprehensive databank of regulatory compliance documents. With its applicability across 100+ industries, regulatory compliance management becomes effortless with Comfy. Comfy's robust inbuilt mechanism ensures continuity and visibility of regulatory compliance in companies across the world. Apart from catering to various domains and modules, it can also be customized to suit specific needs. Let's take a quick look at Comfy's interface and usability. Comfy suggests applicable statutes for every branch of the organization, along with instant updates on new regulations and any changes. It customizes regulatory compliance assignment to users. Regulatory compliance tasks are allotted to a set of users who play the role of maker and checker for completion and approval of tasks respectively. Comfy tells a user on what, when, and how for completing any activity. Tasks are automatically triggered with adequate legal information, made available for accomplishing any activity with ease. An approval mechanism to verify and validate all tasks ensures a foolproof system. Upon task approval, the updated regulatory compliance status reflects in the dashboard in real time for comprehensive tracking. It really is that simple. Next is the dashboard feature, which provides a bird's-eye view of the regulatory compliance status, improving transparency and accountability levels across the organization. With its inbuilt report engine and extensive reports, Comfy acts as regulatory compliance repository and can retrieve data that dates back to 7 years. Needless to say, it is designed at par with industry standards. With Comfy, regulatory compliance management is now accurate and hassle-free. Reach out to us for a free demo. Comfy, your compliance selfie. In today's business scenario, as organizations re-strategize
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Aparajita Group of Companies to our 60 Minutes Compliance Webinar EHS series. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our 500 plus registered attendees who are a part of our session today. It is with great pride I would like to mention, we Aparajita have completed 20 dynamically powerful years in India. We were responsible for setting the tone for an organized compliance industry from the year 2000. Today, with a pan-India presence and humbly servicing 1,750 plus clients across 100 plus industries, we have also extended our compliance services to countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal. The 60 Minutes Compliance series was formulated a year ago, keeping in mind the vast complexities experienced by organizations and the workforce in India, on the non-availability of updated compliance knowledge across domains such as labor, industrial, and finance. It has been our continuous effort to provide legal perspective to the market at large through our webinar. Today, we discuss on the topic, understanding the legal metrology standards for weighing and measuring instruments. Before I proceed, there are a few points to be noted. Any questions on the subject discussed today can be typed under the Q&A box available on the bottom of your screen. We will try our best to answer each one of them. In case we run out of time, please email us your questions to the mail ID on which you received your invite for this webinar, and our legal experts will directly address them back to you through mail. The session is recorded and will be posted on YouTube fortnightly, which can be viewed and accessed easily. The link will be provided to you in our chat box. Moving forward, I would like to introduce our speaker for today's session, Dr. G. Sridharan. A seasoned compliance expert and part of the knowledge powerhouse team of Aparajita, Dr. Sridharan comes with 10 plus years of handling more than 1,500 compliance projects across India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan, covering 78 different compliance licenses and ILS activities for global giants like Amazon, ABB, Flipkart, KFC, and Talpakatti, to name a few. He has been passionate in extending his knowledge to hundreds of our clients to leverage their focus and pay attention to implement the best compliance and governance practices for project and ILS, environmental health and safety, for their organization. Thank you, sir, for coming on board to our 60 Minutes Compliance Webinar EHS series, and I hand over the forum to you.
Thanks, Mr. Faisal. Faisal, can you allow me to share screen?
Yes, it's activated now, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Faisal, for introduction. Good afternoon to one and all. In this session, we will discuss legal methodology related compliances, what type of license and registrations to be carried out, what are the acts, rules and regulations governing to ensure the compliances in India, and a few important definitions which will give the clarity to one and all. And the authorities are involved to ensure the compliances, including issue of the license or registrations, and to whom and all it is applicable, type of registrations and licenses under the Legal Metrology Act, what is the procedure to apply and obtain the license, and any compliances to be followed. Is there any special fees in addition to processing fee? What type of documents or returns are to be maintained? Is it possible to renew, or in case if it is a renewal procedure? Is it possible to transfer the license? Or in case of closure of the activity, what activity is supposed to be carried out by the holder of the license. And another, finally, the very important is the penalty clause, which we will come to know. This is one of the act which gives the very wide range of penalty clauses, including compounding penalties. So the recent post you might have been come across, the MISO has served the notice, and because of the non-compliance, and he was asked to pay a big amount because they are not followed the compliance. That is supposed to be declared in their package, like details of the item, what size of the item, diameter of the item, and labels and information like manufacturing information and date of manufacturing, all other details. In case of any non-compliance or in case of any requirement, whom they should contact, these details are not properly declared in the package. So thereby he was penalized. So why I bring this one here, this is one of the live example. Once you are non-compliant, how you are taken into penalization and prosecution. So it is important to ensure the compliances under Legal Metrology Act 2009. Metrology is the science of weights and measures or of measurement, while meteorology is a science that deals with the study of the atmosphere and its phenomena, especially with weather and weather forecasting. Metrology can be divided into three subfields: scientific, applied, and legal metrology. Legal metrology concerns administrative necessities of measurements and measuring instruments for the insurance of well-being, public security, the climate and the customers, for empowering tax assessment, and for reasonable trade. The object of legal metrology to ensure public guarantee from the point of view of security and accuracy of the weighments and measurements. So that clearly gives what is the legal metrology means. Part of metrology which treats units of weighment and measurement, methods of weighment and measurement, and weighing and measuring instruments in relation to the mandatory technical and legal requirements, which have the object of ensuring public guarantee from the point of view of security and accuracy of the weighments and measurements. Departments of Consumer Affairs is the nodal agency for the implementation of the Act. The Legal Metrology Act 2009 is a single act covering the provisions of the standards of weights and measurement. Act 1976 and the Standards of Weights and Measures Enforcement Act 1985. The Act was built in 2009, but however, it has come into effect from 1st April 2011. It shows that means during this 1.5 year period, there was many questions, queries raised by the manufacturers and the consumers, etc., etc. Finally, the Act has come to establish and enforce standards of weights and measures, regulate trade and commerce in weights, measures, and other goods which are sold or distributed by weights, measures, or number and for matters connected herewith. We have to ensure the international standard. Keeping that in mind, the Act finalized the international system of units based on length to meter, mass to kilogram, time to second, current to ampere, temperature to Kelvin, intensity to candela, and amount of substance shall be the mole. For the implementation of Legal Metrology Act 2009, the following rules have been framed. The Legal Metrology Packaged Commodities Rules 2011 and amendments many up to 2021. The Legal Metrology Approval of Models Rules 2011. The Legal Metrology Numeration Rules 2010. The Legal Metrology General Rules 2011. The Legal Metrology National Standards Rules 2011. The Indian Institute of Legal Metrology Rules 2011. The Legal Metrology General Amendments Rules 2012 to 2021. The Legal Metrology Government Approval Test Centers Rules 2013, and period of time it is updated. The model draft Legal Metrology Enforcement Rules 2010. The state government has also framed their state legal metrology enforcement rules for the implementation of the Act 2009. Let us go through few definitions, because many times when we talk about to whom applicable and the important words we use in this one, it should give the clarity the Act concern. In this Act concern, manufacturer means in relation to any weight or measure. Manufacturer's weight or measure, who is manufacturing weight or measure, the manufacturer one or more parts and acquires other parts of such weight or measure, and after assembling those parts claims the end product to be a weight or measure. The manufacturer does not manufacture any part of such weight or measure, but assembles parts thereof manufactured by others and claims the end product. The person puts or causes to be put his own mark on any complete weight or measure made or manufactured by any other person and claims such product to be a weight or measure. These four type of peoples are called, as per this Act, manufacturer. So many times we will come to know in this Act the penalty clauses and all. Premises. Premises, a place where any business, industry, production of transaction or transaction is carried on by a person, whether by himself or through an agent, by whatever name called, including the person who carries on the business in such premises, a warehouse, godown, or other place where any weight or measure or other goods are stored or exhibited, a place where any books of account or other documents pertaining to any trade or transaction are kept, a dwelling house, if any part thereof is used for the purpose of carrying on any business, industry, production, or trade, a vehicle or vessel or any other mobile device with the help of which any transaction or business is carried on. So the manufacturer, and here the next is the premises, because many people take into other way, or they take the, instead of legal meaning or the legally in the Act what words are mentioned, they take the only English just general meaning and they say that I am compliant, I am not in the fault. Because of that, this here I bring it, we should understand exactly what this word means in this Act concern. In addition to that, repairer. Many times we call it repairer means a person only who repairs. Here, a repairs a weight or measure and includes a person who adjusts, cleans, lubricates, or paints any weight or measure, or renders any other service to such weight or measure to ensure that such weight or measure conforms to the standards established by or under this act. So another three more important words you should understand: label, stamp, seal. Because the label, these stamp, seal, this frequently comes when the question comes about your compliances. Label means any written, marked or stamped, printed or graphic matter affixed to or appearing upon any pre-packaged commodity. Stamp means a mark made by impressing, casting, engraving, etching, branding, affixing pre-stressed paper seal, or any other process in relation to any weight or measure with a view to certifying that such weight or measure conforms to the standard specified, indicating that any mark which was previously made thereon, certifying that such weight or measure conforms to the standard specified. The last interesting one is seal. We might have been seen that many places seal. Seal word is general meaning is different, but in the act clearly mentioned a device or process by which a stamp is made and includes any wire or other accessory which is used for ensuring the integrity of any stamp. Now let us understand the act is applicable to whom and all. Every manufacturer, repairer, or dealer of weight or measure. It applies to packers and importers, those who pack, sell, distribute, deliver, offer, expose, or process for sale any pre-packaged commodity. All these three category people compulsorily act is applicable and they should ensure compliance in all respect in line with the act and rules and regulations. However, this is one of the act, interestingly, they mention to whom it is not applicable also. The provisions of the act, so far as they relate to verification and stamping of weights and measures, shall not apply to any weight or measure used in any factory exclusively engaged in the manufacture of arms, ammunition, or both for the use of the armed forces of the Union, used for scientific investigation or for research, manufactured exclusively for export. These three category people need not to comply under this act and regulation. Who are the authorities involved in the process of application concern, starting with two: compliance ensuring in India or control of legal metrology, additional controller, joint controller, deputy controller, assistant controller, inspector, and other employees detailed by the state government or the power delegates to such person. They are the person who to ensure the compliances. Now let us see what type of licenses, registrations, and stamping are carried out under this act. Verification and stamping of weight or measure. That means any weight or measure that is to be verified and stamped for a period. That generally it comes for annually. Weight or measure, those who manufacture they're supposed to go for the license for weight or measure, certification for weight or measure, registration for manufacturer, packers, and importers, model approval. That means 5 type of activities other than maintaining the documents are mentioned in the Act, rules, and regulations. For better understanding, I'll explain one by one. Every manufacturer, repairer, or dealer of weight or measure need to register, and he should ensure the records and registers are maintained as per the section 17 of the chapter 3, the Legal Metrology Act 2009. No person shall manufacture, pack, sell, import, distribute, deliver, offer, expose, or possess for any pre-packaged commodity unless such package is in such standard quantities or number and bears thereon declarations. Importer need to register for any weight or measure. Manufacturer, repair or sell or offer, expose or possess for repair or sale any weight or measure needs to obtain license. Approval for model is very important before manufacturing or importing any weight or measures. Shall seek the approval model by paying fees specified by the Act or rules done and there maintained. Registration for importer of weight or measure. No person shall import weight or measure unless he is registered and obtain the registration. Not only that, if at all, if he imports any weight and measure instrument, if it is not standardized or not recognized by India, he is supposed to approach for model approval. Once the model approval obtained, then he will be issued with the license. Once the license is issued, then only he can do any business in line with the imported weight and measure instruments. So any weight and measure instrument is to be periodically verified and stamping should be done as per the specifications, as per the schedule. In general, every weight and measure instrument is to be verified and stamped annually, once in a year. Registration of manufacturers, packers, and importers which pre-packs or imports any commodity for sale, distribution, and delivery, he should register and maintain records as per the pre-packaged commodity rules 2011. One is that if he is packing, repacking in India, as per the Act, he has to register. Another one is in case if he is importing, then also he is supposed to do the registration. This pre-packaged registration or importing license is to be issued by the central government. The process for applying and obtaining the license are: registration is to be done in the portal and should obtain user ID and password. Once you obtain the user ID and password, the application can be filled and filed online with the data required. Supporting documents are to be uploaded. While doing the online, you will come to know what type of documents are supposed to be attached, that is to be uploaded. Automatically, as per your requirement, the fees is reflected online, that is to be paid either online or you can prepare a DD. In case if the fees is paid through DD, upload the fees paid receipt. Then you have to submit the application to authority through online for further process. Along with that, you have to submit a hard copy of downloaded application with all supporting documents, whatever you are uploaded. Along with that copies, you have to submit the hard copies to the authority. The concerned authority, the judicial authority, that is the inspector, will inspect and forward the report to deputy controller or district legal metrology officer, as the case may be the state level. So once the concerned authority, the metrology officer or controller, go through, and if he satisfies, that means the application in line with the act and rules provision, then he approves, then you can download the license or certificate, or case may be few states, you may require to go and collect the hard copy. There are special fees are there for the purpose of testing of mechanical type model, weights and measures. Earlier it was 5,000 rupees, now it is 10,000 rupees. Similarly, in case the testing of digital or electronic type model weights or measures or weighing and measuring instruments that are intended to be manufactured or imported for transaction or protection, earlier it was 10,000 rupees. Now recent past they increase it to rupees 25,000. These fees are paid once it is tested and the approval is given, then further only verification stamping will be required annually. There are documents to be maintained. Especially, this is one of the interesting, there is no returns in Legal Metrology Act concern, but you have to maintain the records and registers, whatever mentioned in line with your state specific rules and regulations, along with your certificate or license. It is clearly mentioned what type of document you are supposed to be maintained. It varies from state to state, that you have to ensure you are maintaining. Yeah, next is the renewal. Renewal concern certificate of verification. That means if any measure, weight and measure instrument, when they are manufacturing, before manufacturing, you have to register and get the registration certificate for manufacturing weight and measure. Once you manufacture the weight and measure, each weighing machine, let it be electrical or mechanical, any type of machine, should carry a certificate along with the machine. That machine, in the certificate, some 5 details are mentioned. That is type of machine and manufactured by whom and size, dia, capacity, all these things are mentioned clearly. Along with that one, a serial number is given to the machine. The same number is reflected in along with the certificate. That certificate used to be verified once in a year. So that means the certificate is valid for 1 year from the date of issue. Every year, that certificate will be renewed by inspecting the authority, or in case if there is a error, the machine may be asked to send it to laboratory for verification. Once a verification is carried out, or if the error is within the limit, there is a percentage of error given, it is mentioned in the schedule, type of machine or type of instrument. then the stamping is, or we can call it as a certificate, is renewed annually. A dealer supposed to apply and obtain the license. The license is valid for calendar year. There is a difference between certification is for 1 year, but whereas the dealer license is for the calendar year. That is 31st December, it gets expires. Then you have to apply for the renewal. Certificate of registration of importer. In case if you want to import any instrument, weight and measure instruments, you have to register with the central and obtain the registration certificate. The importer certificate it is called. Does it issued for 5 years. Within the 5 years, in case if you want to go for any change, that means any addition or any deletion need to apply for revised certificate. Otherwise, the registration certificate is valid for 5 years. In case if you are doing manufacturing in India, only one time registration, no more renewal required. But if there is a change, any change, like your addition, any deletion, or any type of instrument you are changing, your model approval is changing, such a case, you have to apply for the revised certificate. And in almost all the case, the renewal procedure wherever applicable, 30 days prior to expiry, you need to apply for renewal. In case, if you fail to do, here there is no penalty fine clause. Straight away, you have to apply for the new license. Not only that, for your non-compliance, fine and penalty is mentioned in the penalty clause. So is it possible to transfer the license or registration? Yes, it is possible. Only one case, that is in case of the death of the licensee. Transfer application can be made online. For transferring of license, death certificate and proof of legal heir is required. Only transfer possible to the legal heirs on death. Otherwise, it's not possible to transfer. It is valid for the issued person only. Closure. In case if you are going to close the business or your manufacturing unit, you need to submit a letter with mentioning the reason for closure of the business. Online, you need to submit along with the license or registration copy. There may be a fees applicable. That fees is to be paid. The authority will inspect it and he will give the closure certificate. The very interesting, in the starting itself, I told, I have gone through many acts in India. The Legal Metrology Act 2009 is one of the very clarity, and the compulsory penalty clause is given. There are 25 penalty clauses are mentioned clearly. Like other cases, in case of non-compliance, you can appeal or you can give or you can resubmit. Many things you can manage in the sense, you can say that the documents I am unable to position in the premises, it is kept in the other places. Here and all, there is no such a excuse. If there is a mistake, you have to pay the fine and penalty. And the other interesting thing is that first time, most of the penalties only with the fine. In subsequent time or second time itself, with the imprisonment, compulsory imprisonment and fine also, it is more than or multiples of the normal cases. The clarity is given clearly what type of mistake you have done. For that, what is the fine clause. Even you need not to go to court or need not to refer anybody. Straight away, see what is your mistake. Then Yes, you have to pay, no other consequence. Penalty for use of non-standard weight or measure, penalty for alteration of weight or measure, penalty for manufacture or sale of non-standard weight or measure, penalty for making any transaction, deal or contract in contravention of the prescribed standards, penalty for quoting of publishing non-standard units. Every case, minimum starting with the 10,000 rupees fine. In subsequent case, imprisonment always starts minimum 6 months. It is crossing more than 1.5 years also. Penalty for transaction in contravention of standard weight or measure. Penalty for non-production of documents. For import of non-standard weight or measure, for failure to get model approved, for use of unverified weight and measure, penalty for sale or delivery of commodities by non-standard weight or measure, for rendering services by non-standard weight, measure or number, penalty for selling of non-standard packages, penalty for contravention by government approved test centers, penalty for non-registration by importer of weight or measure, penalty for obstructing director, controller or legal metrology officer, penalty for giving false information or false return, vexatious search, penalty for counterfeiting of seals, penalty for manufacturing license, penalty for tampering the license. So, like compounding of offenses, some 5-6 offenses. In one offense, if you do and you try to do or try to give the answer in your respective class, because of this, I have not done, nothing doing here. Compounding of offenses is only in this act provision is clearly mentioned. We cannot escape. There are day-to-day many updates are available. The importance are just we will go through here. Manufacturing date and all earlier in case of any package community is not mandatory. Now it is mandatory. That means earlier and all, when it is, for example, if you are importing some package from the foreign country or any outside, in that case, the date of import only mentioned. But nowadays it is mandatory. Even if you are importing also, the manufacturing date is mandatory. Earlier, the units in the package, number of units is not mandatory. Nowadays, the number of units are mandatory. Similarly, the unit price earlier in a package, for example, if you take, if there is a biscuit packet, if it is 100 gram, there they mention date of manufacturing. Earlier it was not there. Date of expiry will be there. Now it is compulsory. Date of manufacturing, date of expiry, and the rate MRP they have to mention. Now, in addition to that, they have to clearly mention, for example, if the package is for the 100 gram, in such a case, they have to mention the 100 gram, that is MRP of that package. In addition, they have to clearly give what is the cost of the 1 kg. If it is in the smaller case, it is less than that kg level, the number of kgs. For example, if I purchase here 5 kg or 4 kg of the sugar packet, so the 4 kgs packet value is might have been supposed to be mentioned. For example, 50 rupees per kg, 4 into 50, 200. In addition to that, now you have to mention cost of 1 kg also supposed to be reflected in the package. Similar to that, in case of the length or in case of the quantity count also compulsory. Earlier, the quantity they mentioned only chappal package, means it is chappal. If it is a socks, it is mentioned as only socks. But now it is mandatory. You have to mention how many are there. That is quantity. 2 means in a pair of socks, either you have to mention 2 quantity compulsory. In addition to that, you can mention a pair of socks, a pair of shoes. What is inside, that also to be mentioned in addition to rates and other informations. So nowadays, in the package commodity concerned, compulsorily the 5 details has to be mandatory. Details of the manufacturer and what type of item is packed in the package and size of the package and dia of this package and labeling and the information concern, who is a manufacturer, in case of faulty, to whom we should contact, his contact details and mail IDs. All these are mandatory. For items sold by number, the number of unit, the number or unit or piece or pair or set or such other weight which represent the quantity in the package shall be mentioned. So nobody can escape from the Legal Metrology Act. Many people are not aware of that. That is a reason we thought of that this is important class to bring to you knowledge. So we have come to the closer of the session. You can have the question and answers now. I request our Faisal to support me. You can read out the questions. I can go through the replying the answers. Shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir. It was quite an informative session, sir. So I have a question over here. Whether marketer of product is included in definition of manufacturer?
Yes, it is not come again, it is not included in the manufacturer, but he is a falls under seller. Na? Come again once more your question.
Yes, the question is whether marketer of product is included in definition of manufacturer.
Marketer is not included in the manufacturer, but he falls under the seller class. So he is also supposed to be compliant in the Legal Metrology Act.
Thank you, sir. There's another question. Is it need to take any certification for cream or ointment filling machine from weight and measure? And what certification and from where?
Yes, it is mandatory to have the registration certificate and license also mandatory from the jurisdiction authority.
Thank you, sir. Another question. If we are using weighing and measuring instruments for our internal use also, should we go for stamping? Or is it applicable only to the instruments which are used for commercial purpose?
If not only commercial purpose, even if you use for any other preparation purpose also, if you have it, it has to be mandatory, get the stamping and verification.
All right. Thank you, sir. Another question. Will this act not be applicable to manufacturers located in export MFG zone where products are 100% exported?
Yeah, it is not applicable. The act itself not applicable if you are manufacturing purely for export. You should not do any sale or any transaction within India. In that case, not applicable.
Not applicable. Okay. We have another question. What is the general applicability of this act? In which type of cases does the Metrology Act penalize the entities?
Come again?
What is the general applicability of this act? That's one part of the question. The second part is, in which type of cases does the Metrology Act penalize the entities?
Yeah. In the entity, there are two things you should understand. One is that if you are using any weight and measuring unit in the entity, you have to comply. That is, license supposed to be obtained. Second part is that as per the legal metrology, if you do any package or repackaging, you have to get the license under the repackaged commodities rules. Both are applicable.
Thank you, sir. Whether it is applicable for government welfare shops.
Common?
Whether it is applicable for government welfare shops.
Yes, it is applicable to government shops also.
Yes. Okay. There's another question. Sir, request you to kindly inform us about the model approval under legal metrology.
Yeah. Under legal metrology, model approval is mandatory in case if you use any non-standard. That means already it is declared by the government, as we were discussing that in case of weight, that should be in grams, or in case of measuring liters like this. If you use different type or different model instrument, in case of weighing, for example, if you have instead of the normal weighing machine, if you have any electronic weighing machines, which is not manufactured in India, in such a case, or if you manufacture different shape or different type of machine, you have to go for model approval. It is mandatory one time.
Okay. Just want to take a moment here to remind all the attendees, kindly post your questions in the Q&A box and they will be addressed as I go through the questions. Really appreciate if you could do that for us. Thank you. I have another question here. How is the contravention decided in weight and measure?
Yeah, weight and measure, as we have gone through, there are 24 classes separately given. In there are section 24 section clearly they given for each and every non-compliance or deviation.
Thank you, sir. We are packing the materials under job worker basis and return to manufacture. For that product, that is packed goods, wholly responsible by the manufacturer.
Question again?
So the question is, we are packing the materials under job worker basis and return to manufacture. For that product, that is packed goods, wholly responsible for the manufacturer. Sir?
Hello, can you hear me now?
It's a bit low, sir, your voice, right?
There was an intermittent network. Can you repeat again, please, question now?
Yeah, we are packing the materials under job worker basis and return to manufacture. For that product, that is packed goods, wholly responsible by the manufacturer. Shridharan, sir?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Faisal, I have lost the internet connection. Now it has
Now
come.
it's, yes, sir, you're quite audible right now.
Now I understand. Yeah, now I understand your question. He is doing job contract and packing and handing over to the his concerned person, that is to whom he get the contract. In such a case, if it is a transportation is taking place from one location to another location, in such a case, it is mandatory to mention all the details in the package.
All right. Also, there's a follow-up question to that, whether the job worker need to get registration.
Whether the job workers
need to get registration.
Job worker need not to do registration because he is not falls under the manufacturer.
All right.
So he is need not to register.
Mhm. Okay. Is it also applicable to, one second. Is it also applicable to ready mix cement plant, RMC in Maharashtra?
Ready mix, this plant is in case, yeah, very correct. It is applicable for him because he is selling with the weight only after mixing it up. So Legal Metrology Act is applicable to him.
Is applicable. Okay. Now we have a few more questions. It's good to see a lot of good questions coming in for this. If our product is filled up in ml and later solidifies, should the declaration of quantity be made in GM or ml?
ML only.
Right, ml only. Okay. Another question. How come public can be aware of the measurement metrology is tested with and correct standardized?
Yeah. As per, yes, there is a
Right.
rules when we are discussing, every state is having the listed test centers is readily available online. Almost all, every districts, they declare a center, test center. From the test center, he can get it tested.
We can get it tested, yes. Is research center making products for only study purpose and not for sale comes under this act?
Yes.
It comes under this. Okay. Moving on, there's another question. I think, yeah. Is this applicable to food supplements like nutrients and vitamins?
Yes, it is applicable.
Applicable. Okay. With respect to the package commodities amendment rules 2022, should the selling price for commodities like soap be mentioned as INR per gram, or should we treat the retail soap packing as 1 unit?
Yeah, it is a 1 unit. When he is mentioning, for example, if the unit is 20 gram cost, in such a case, he has to mention what will be the cost of the 1 gram. That also to be mandatory to mention in the latest.
Yes, sir. Will the act be applicable for medical manufacturing also?
Yes, it is applicable.
Yes. In case of wrong labeling, who is responsible, packer or the brand owner? Assuming packer has obtained the registration here.
See, packer has obtained the registration. When he is selling, he is a responsible person to have the certificate and verification along with this machine. For the following year renewal, is the user is a responsible person.
Right. Yes, sir. Whether the weights and measures has any applicability on contents mentioned on websites.
Come again, your question, consent?
Whether the weights and measures has any applicability on contents mentioned on websites.
Yeah, it is online, your site, you can check it up. The state you can go through, even the central also legal metrology, it's available.
Okay. We have another question here. If I have a factory license, should I need to do registrations for this also?
See, factory license manufacturing, that is different. But when you pack and send it out, see, if you are only manufacturing, then it not required. But you are again, it is packing and sending, Legal Metrology Act, you have to go for the license.
License. Okay. Now we have another question. Is this applicable for construction companies?
Construction company concern, what type of activity and what basis he is doing. On that basis only it's applicable. Otherwise, normal construction company legal metrology is not applicable.
Not applicable. Okay. They were also asking about, is this applicable for companies like Amazon, Flipkart, who does outside packing?
It's applicable.
It's applicable. Okay. Now, what if the product is packed for multi-user or family pack? Do we need to mention unit price for each unit?
Exactly. You have to mention. As per the 2022 rule, it is a must.
It is a must. Okay, sir. Just a few more questions. If we make declaration of when packed on commodities not covered under the third schedule, will this be treated as contravention of rules, even if there are significant variations in the product?
Yes. Now treated as a violation.
Can we use stickers for labeling under legal metrology?
Yes, they can use the stickers.
Yes. Whether the Metrology Act governed equally in India as a whole, or it differs from state to state?
There is no different in the process and act concern. Only the document maintenance and the centers, testing centers concern, only it varies. There is some powers are given to the state. Otherwise, act is applicable to whole part of India, every part of India, whole India.
Okay. Is legal metrology applicable for food items, as FSSAI Act also specifies about the labeling?
Yes, even though if you have the FSSAI license, you should get the legal metrology license also must.
Okay. Is there a need to get license for digital weighing machine?
Yes, it is mandatory.
Mandatory. Oh. Now we have a couple of more questions. In multi-user pack or family pack, the product is intended for group use and it's sold at price lower than compared to unit price. In such multi-user packet, is it necessary to mention unit price?
There is mandatory to mention, even though they sell it for the lower cost also, mandatory they have to mention.
Okay. And can mandatory declarations be made through multiple stickers?
Multiple stickers, you see, only one sticker can be permitted if there is no other sticker. Otherwise, there is mandatorily they have to print only on the package. Multi stickers not permitted.
All right. We have a plant to prepare related building materials. For that, we have factory license. All this material we take out of building in this case, should we go for this license?
Yes, it is required, because the materials, when they are disposing, they are going to give in the weight and measures only.
Okay.
It's mandatory.
Yeah, we have a couple of more questions. We have a closing stock as of 31st/3/2022, labeling applied as per existing rule. From 1st of April, whether we need to change the label as per revised notification?
Yes, it is required.
It is required. Okay. I think this would be the last question. Is this label requirement applicable to wholesale sales?
Yes, it is required. Must.
Okay. I think with this, okay, there is a couple of more questions that has just come in. I think we'll address them. Is this label requirement applicable to wholesale sales? Yes. What type of machines are mandatory for weighing machine calibrations?
Weighing machine for bridge.
Calibrations.
No, come again.
What type of machines are mandatory for weighing machine calibrations?
You see, calibration is done by the testing centers only. The testing centers are already given the training by Indian Institute. So they only test the master instrument in the all over the states. So that is only one master instrument. In line with that only, they will check the weight and measures of the other instruments which is coming for the testing.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we come to the end of the program with the questions. And dear attendees, if you have any further questions, please just go ahead and email us in the email ID that will drop in the chat box, and we will have Dr. Sridharan direct those questions to you after this program. Thank you so much, Sridharan sir, for coming on to our 60 Minutes Compliance webinar and taking on this subject in a very beautiful manner.
Thanks, Faisal. Thanks to all the participants. Good day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
In today's business scenario, as organizations re-strategize to improve profitability, one of the biggest challenges is achieving 100% regulatory compliance. The major hurdles faced are the vastness and complexity of standards, continuous amendments to regulatory compliance laws, and lack of robust digital tools. Besides, non-compliance may lead to legal exposure and prosecution of the board of directors. This can result in heavy fines and penalties and a drop in market value and share prices. Now companies can tackle these challenges with Comfy, a tech-enabled plug-and-play global compliance management system with Regulatory Compliance Advisor. Comfy is a product of Aparajita Group of Companies, the #1 regulatory compliance company in India, offering solutions across key domains. Comfy is the only global compliance management system that enables companies to track, govern, and manage regulatory requirements, performance evaluations, and internal operations, thereby mitigating future risks. Comfy provides full regulatory compliance assurance and precise knowledge mapping with real-time updates. The technology is embedded with comprehensive legal knowledge and assists in mapping industry-specific laws with a host of other key features. A key highlight of Comfy is tracking regulatory compliance performance with a multi-dimensional dashboard for management review. This helps companies act proactively and reduces financial risks and liability costs, leading to improved stock value and customer trust. Some of the key USPs of Comfy are as follows. Comfy dynamically drives and manages regulatory compliance performance with auto-trigger, tracking, and escalating of regulatory compliance gaps. Comprehensive regulatory compliance knowledge covers all types and categories regulatory knowledge for effective compliance management globally. Easy-to-use intelligent, real-time, and color-coded dashboard and trend charts with drill-down capabilities. Timely auto-updates with notifications and comprehensive reporting and alert system. Automated and on-demand analytics and reporting capabilities available to flag non-compliance and risk. Comfy's readily available reports can be used for internal and external audit, gap assessment, and due diligence analysis. It supports in identifying risks and allows for a proper mitigation system to be set in place to avoid non-compliance. Mobile apps. Comfy is available on iOS and Android-based mobile apps to manage your regulatory compliance while you're on the go. Dedicated data server with AWS that acts as a repository for historic organizational data that serves as comprehensive databank of regulatory compliance documents. With its applicability across 100+ industries, regulatory compliance management becomes effortless with Comfy. Comfy's robust inbuilt mechanism ensures continuity and visibility of regulatory compliance in companies across the world. Apart from catering to various domains and modules, it can also be customized to suit specific needs. Let's take a quick look at Comfy's interface and usability. Comfy suggests applicable statutes for every branch of the organization, along with instant updates on new regulations and any changes. It customizes regulatory compliance assignment to users. Regulatory compliance tasks are allotted to a set of users who play the role of maker and checker for completion and approval of tasks respectively. Comfy tells a user on what, when, and how for completing any activity. Tasks are automatically triggered with adequate legal information made available for accomplishing any activity with ease. An approval mechanism to verify and validate all tasks ensures a foolproof system. Upon task approval, the updated regulatory compliance status reflects in the dashboard in real time for comprehensive tracking. It really is that simple. Next is the dashboard feature, which provides a bird's eye view of the regulatory compliance status, improving transparency and accountability levels across the organization. With its inbuilt report engine and extensive reports, Comfy acts as a regulatory compliance repository and can retrieve data that dates back to 7 years. Needless to say, it is designed at par with industry standards. With Comfy, regulatory compliance management is now accurate and hassle-free. Reach out to us for a free demo. Comfy, your compliance selfie.